Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Noobs and Pros. In today's episode we'll be looking at a couple of games I had in my Type 64. The Type 64 is basically a premium Chaffee. It's very comparable to the Chaffee, the only difference being it does not see tier 10 matches after the last patch. So it is a very good premium tank, though certainly it doesn't make nearly as much money as some of the tier 7s and tier 8s, but it's nonetheless a very fun tank to play. Here, what I'm trying to do is trying to get into their base and see if I can get all the 3 RD lit at the very least, if not kill them. I have mixed feelings about this map. Honestly, I don't think a lot of maps are really good for scout tank, so I play most of my scout tanks as light attack tanks until I get a good map. So here I'm gonna carefully make my way into their base, and lo and behold, all the 3 RD are lit. Now here's the hilarious bit, is that the T20 prot sitting in their base is just so like caught up in like doing what he's doing that he actually doesn't notice that I actually come around, kill 2 of his RD, and then stick around to put more shots into RD number 3 and then run away. Now that is just hilarious. Here you see me taking my time, like aiming for the Lorraine, and you know the Lorraine doesn't even move. I don't know whether he realized he was being shot at or he was too zoomed in to what he's doing. Now, fearing that the T20 prod might be more alerted to what my shenanigans were, I'm gonna go help my fellow platoon mate with this Yak Panther 2 problem. Now, the Yak Panther 2 doesn't realize I've just killed RD in their base. I don't know whether they already alerted him to it. I'm trying to track him so I can get like more shots into him. I put 2 shots into him, but then he uses his repair kit. And at this point, you know, all I want to do is just run away as fast as I can. Now, in a straight line, I may not be able to beat him. So what I do is I take a right turn and go over the hill. And as I'm going over the hill, you know, I think that the Yak Panther 2 might have seen what I was doing, but apparently he didn't. So as soon as, you know, I get off the, you know, sort of like cliff, I, you know, track myself obviously, so I repair my track and I come back around to see if I can do more damage to them. Now, in my opinion, the Type 64 is a very good tank to have. It's a very fun tank. You know, I play it. I've been playing it fairly quite a recent because I wanted to get the first crew skill up on this tank. And over here, I see the Yak Panther 2 again. This time, I track him again. But this time, unfortunately for him, he doesn't have a repair kit to get himself out of the bind. And just as I'm about to kill him, the Panther 2 on my right kill steals like a boss. So I should have taken a shot from the T28 prot here, you know, because obviously there wasn't much damage to be had anymore. But by the time I go around to put 1 shot into him, he sort of like is just erased very quickly. So this is another game in my Type 64. In this map, you know, honestly, there isn't, again, like most maps in the game, there aren't really good scouting locations. I mean, the maps aren't that big for something to be scouted anyways. Most of the maps are fairly small and fairly linear. Basically what Wargaming has done in a lot of their maps is make little corridors, which sort of like negates you know, playing scouts, because I mean, if you know like 90% of the time where the team is going, I mean, it absolutely makes no sense for anybody to be playing a scout. So over here, you know, I'm going to come over all the way up here, see if I can you know, get some shots of opportunity. I do put a shot in this T20 who has no armor to speak of, and it pens rather nicely. I turn around, you know, I don't want to be shot in the face. I don't have 6 cents on this crew yet. I'm actually training up a VZ131 crew because I've just unlocked the VZ132, and I'm probably be transferring that crew up into the new tank. So this crew is rather new, and so I was just trying to get a sneaky shot again into the Tiger P. and I couldn't, and so I sort of like resolve to maybe put some shots of opportunity on the 15 and 16. He obviously doesn't realize that I was aiming to get a shot on him. Now, one thing you have to remember in your scouts is you don't want to be trading shots like you do in your regular tanks, because most of the tanks would probably have a lot more hit points than scouts do. Generally, you just want to be as annoying as you can, and that's about it. So over here, the 59-16, who was aiming for the other side gets a nasty surprise when I come over, uses bush to shoot him a couple of times. He's decides now is a good time to back off. At this point, I mean, the game wasn't looking that bad, but it just goes south like fairly quickly towards the end. So I mean, I do my best to sort of like be as annoying as I can. I am a tier 6 scout. The biggest problem I've had in this tank is I actually tend to get really close to running out of ammunition in this tank, more so than anything else. In a very prolonged game, I'd be surprised if I can keep up the damage output that I can. I just played another game like recently. Over here I see like a bishop who's sitting in the open, and it doesn't take much to take him out. I had another game recently, and I came down to like 8 rounds in that game, or 12 rounds, something like that. So Type 64's ammo capacity isn't that great, so you have to be careful. Over here I see the T25-2 making his way down the middle. I put one shot into him, give him a little hello, how's it going. As soon as I fall off his map, I try to take another shot, but at this point I'm thinking he's like staring at me, so I don't want to I don't want to give him an easy shot. Over here I put another shot into him. The first one I rather took hastily, so it actually goes into his gun mount and then bounces. I actually stopped carrying premium ammunition on my Type 64 just because it's a little bit more challenging to sort of like play scouts without carrying like premium ammunition. I think that's not what they're meant to do anyway, so your job is to sort of like think outside the box and flank people instead of like using brute force of your gun to go through somebody's frontal armor anyway. So over here I take shots at the Tiger P and this Hellcat. Unfortunately for me, this gun's accuracy is 0.4, which is not that great, and so for long range sniping it's not a really great tool. Over here I see the SU-152 and the 59-16 finally deciding to push this flank. I actually take 2 shots from the 59-16 because he is an autoloader, and he fires really fast. Over here this SU-152 tunnel visions on this IS, and I give him quite a little peppering all around to sort of like remind him that he cannot take me for granted while I'm around. Type 64 might be a scout tank, but you cannot just take a scout tank for granted in the TD, especially if you're close by. Now I see the T25-2 and the SU-100M1. I tried to take out the T25-2, rather trying to take a cheeky shot, but the gun's accuracy is not up to it. I back off, but to my chagrin, he still decides to go forward anyways. I would have killed him if I'd stayed there, but IS gets the kill. I don't really mind. So over here I'm trying to see if I get a shot on this Tiger P, but unfortunately for me, I was kind of distracted by the SU-100M1, thinking about whether I should jump over the top and try to get him or not. The IS does go and deal with him, and I'm trying to now be a scout and figure out where most of their enemy team is. Just because when the map is wide open, it's easier to play scout. It is kind of hard to play scout initially because half the time you're just running around trying to figure out where to get to get some damage done. Scouts, I think in most maps now, are more late game tanks than early game tanks, except maybe some maps. There's still some good scouting locations you can get into rather quickly. Prokhorovka comes to mind. It's Fiery Salient, the other alter ego for like Prokhorovka also comes to mind. Malinovka obviously is a good scouting map. I mean, there's good scouting maps, but sometimes you just want sometimes it's hard to scout on most maps just because most enemy tanks are spotted, and Journey doesn't take much for you to get spotted either, so risk reward is kind of hard. So over here I see the Panzer 5 was peppering across the map earlier. I put one shot into him, but I don't want to come out and risk him actually killing me at this point. So what I do is I decide I'm gonna back off and go help my IS, who's in base trying to deal with a Hellcat and a Tiger P. So the other thing about the Type 64 you have to realize is its penetration on this gun is not very good. I think it's a 135 or 115, something like that. So most heavy armor tanks, or most light armor tanks, you just have to go through their sides. There's no way you're gonna go through their flanks. Sometimes it might even bounce off their weak spots. Here I move forward to take a couple shots in the Tiger P, but then I kind of like realize he's starting to back off and trying to get a shot into me. I don't know whether he spotted the IS as well. So I just back off, not wanting to be shot by the Tiger P. I wait and realize he's turned his side towards the IS. And I put a shot into the Tiger P so as to distract him. Now the RD had a good idea of going around and derping Tiger P in its giant bum, but unfortunately for him, the Panzer 5 was actually looking in that direction and takes him out. Now I tell the IS that what we need to do is flank him, because if we flank him, I can take one shot and maybe he can take one shot, but between us we can actually kill him rather easily. But unfortunately for me, the IS doesn't wait for me, and the Tiger P takes him out brutally. At this point, as soon as he dies, I make my mind to go somewhere else. I mean, it makes no sense for me to sort of like deal with him over here. The Tiger P tries to take a snapshot but misses. For a second here, I thought I might go up the middle and try to spot the whoever it is who is lighting up the cap, but then I kind of like decide against it. I've lost a couple of games recently, last in the decisions in which I actually sort of like got over eager and to win, and lost patience and got myself killed as the last tank. So I decided I'm not gonna make the mistake again. I don't know where this Tiger P is, but I know he's pretty slow to make it into the cap, even if he decides to cap, and I should be able to flank him by that time and hopefully get some damage done, so as to reset the cap. At this point, I think the Tiger P and the Panzer 5 both underestimate, like that even though I'm a scout tank, I still have gun and still fire and still can do damage. So even though they decide to, the Tiger P and the Panzer 5 actually decide to split up, with the Tiger P's trying to hunt me down and the Panzer 5 trying to cap. Now over here, I thought the Panzer 5 would be on this side of the rock, because I would be if I was him. Try to lure the Type 64 around a corner and see if you can kill him, or draw him at range and then decide to kill him. But he's like hugging the rock on the wrong side, and that makes for a very easy kill. Now it's a one-on-one versus a Tiger P and me. The Tiger P doesn't have a lot of frontal armor, so I have to go through his side somehow. I'm not gonna YOLO into him and try to circle him. That's just because it's it's a lot more safer to just pick your battle. Pick an opportunity to fight him. And there's a lot of time left, so I was willing to sort of like take my time with this. Now I decide to go around on the other side of the Tiger P, make him think I'm gonna cap, and kind of like lure him in that direction. At this point, I kind of like thought the Tiger P would be coming up the middle, and I would run further up and see if I can get shots into him. I decided, after seeing what he was doing, he was actually moving towards the bridge, that I can take a chance and see if he's still going to be here. I'm pre-aiming where I think I see the Tiger P. I put one shot into him. He's looking completely the wrong direction. I put you know, 3 shots into him right there. And then, you know, I put a sneaky shot in between the rocks, and then, you know, I decide to go around, and Tiger P, you know, anticipating I'm coming across the corner, just fires without me actually showing up, and that's all she wrote for him.